guys. All right. Quickly, I had to take lunch.
So your first webinar, short first webinar.
Yes. आज तो तुम ही हो start.
Right. Let's see. Okay, we can go right.
Okay, all right. People have started coming in. All right.
Right. Good afternoon, Arpit. Hi. Yeah, let's wait for others to join in.
Yeah, just wait for a couple of minutes. Good afternoon, Arpit.
Yeah.
I think probably. All right. So I think. So yeah. So participants are coming in, and so again, good afternoon for joining in, and thank you. I think let's wait for a couple of minutes and then we can start off.
Yes, sure.
I think people will be joining in coming minutes, probably in 2, 5, 6, 7 minutes. They continue to come in. So probably we can start in next minute. Just wait for a minute and then we can start off.
Yes, sure. So let's wait for 1 more minute.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure.
So we are just waiting for a few other guys to join in. There are around 230 people who have registered for this webinar. So we are just hoping of that, as many as people can come in at the beginning. So, I mean, they don't lose the track. So that's the reason. Otherwise, all right. So probably I think we can begin the session, Venkatesh. There are 15 people who are here, and I'm sure this number will be going up pretty soon.
Yes.
So probably what we can do, we can start a little slow and then we can pick up this momentum.
Sure. Sure.
Okay, thank you. Over to you.
Uh, yeah. Hi everyone. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining in on weekend. Uh, since you have joined on weekend, I could understand that how important this webinar is for you, and we'll make sure that you get maximum value out of it. And even if you don't, we have an interactive Q&A session at the end, so that you can go, you can ask any doubts, any questions you have. And apart from that, I hope everyone is safe and your families are doing good. And I wish you all the health and safety. So with that, without further ado, let's start. So let me begin with my introduction itself. So my name is Venkatesh. I'm a I'm corporate. I work in corporate for more than 5 years, and my cloud experience is same. So I've been working with cloud for more than 5 years. Also, I'm certified professional cloud architect and data engineer. So let's start with the today's agenda so that we know that whatever we are covering is relevant to you. So we'll start with the what is cloud computing, because that is the main fundamental that you need to understand in order to get into the cloud computing domain itself. Then we'll move on to why companies are moving toward clouds. Eventually, that will lead to, we'll explore what are the opportunities for you, and how to get into the industry itself, right? So when I say what is cloud computing, and if I tell you that you are already using all of the cloud, it's just that you are not aware of it. So will you be like, could you relate it to the current use that whatever applications you are using on day-to-day basis, can you relate to it to cloud computing? So just to make it simpler for you guys, so whatever this, not the biggest examples of the cloud computing is the social media platforms we are using right now, and billions of users are active at a moment. And whenever say back in days when cloud was not there, if I had to listen to any songs, whenever a new song is released, I had to download that song in my memory card, listen to it. When I get bored of it, I had to download new songs. But just in case, when you look at today, you can take an example of YouTube. You have access to millions of songs, right? You don't have to worry about the storage. Again, you have all of the social media like Instagram, Facebook. When you upload an image, when you upload the video, you never think of the size of the video. You are not, when the video is in your phone, you are worried about the storage. But when you upload it, you never think of the storage, right? So who is bearing that storage? Who is that data is actually stored somewhere, but where, right? So that is, and not just only the photos and videos, the text messages you chat on, the tweets or whatever post you link it, your resume, all of this is stored somewhere that you have access to anywhere with any device, right? Just to give you a clear idea, when you use different apps on your different devices, just for example, let's say take an Gmail, you when you open your Gmail on any of these device, you get the access to same content, you get access to your same emails. Since you're accessing the same content irrespective of devices, this content needs to be stored somewhere, right? And when it is stored somewhere, you need to retrieve it in order to show it on your devices. And all of this computing, storing, and whatever the things are going in, all of the things are abstracted in a cloud, and that is we call it as cloud in day-to-day life. And when I say it's the cloud, can we say the cloud computing means storing and accessing data and programs over the internet? Yeah, somewhat. So when you say cloud, so whenever you chat, it is, whenever you upload any image, whenever you post any update on social media, all the content is going through certain steps that are abstracted in the cloud. And when we say cloud, just for sake of simplicity, you can relate it and you can say cloud means internet as of now. But if it is all about only the internet that you have access to free of cost, then companies will also have access to internet. Then why companies are moving towards cloud computing? Because if anyone can connect to internet, why companies are ready to pay huge salaries to cloud engineers? Is it just about the internet only? No, internet is one type of cloud which we call it as public cloud, which anyone who has access to cloud, access to internet can access it, can use this cloud. But when it, in the word itself, when it is called public cloud, there is less security to it. And people, if companies started using the main public cloud, then there is a risk of security and risk of compromising systems, like many bitcoin miners hack into the system and use companies resources. That's why companies move towards more secure environment, and we will explore that what will be the environment that looks like. But in order to simplify the cloud, what is cloud means for companies, let's take an example that miss there is, let's say he is an example of she is an example of entrepreneur. So let's call it a entrepreneur, and she wanted to start an internet company. And there is this is before cloud, so let's say 10 years before, let's say in 2011 or 2006, let's say. So, and she wanted to start an internet company, but in order to make her business available on internet itself, she had to buy servers. And when I say server, it is literally the CPUs, RAM, a big computer that can handle traffic on internet, right? So it is an upfront cost for her, even the business is not yet started, right? So so even she has managed to start a good business, the business is viable, and she is doing good and business is scaling up. But still, in order to continue her business, she needs to incur the lot of operational cost. And if I say that average, let's say 10,000 square feet data center could take up to millions of dollars just for the operations, just to make your website running and available to all of the internet, right? So this is not affordable to new age entrepreneurs. And not just the affordability, when you are managing your own infrastructure, when you are managing your own servers, things could go wrong if you don't have experience of managing the infrastructure. And that was happened before as well. Just take an example of Flipkart. When in 2014 Flipkart launched their first big billion day, and back then Flipkart was managing their own servers, we call it infrastructure, but they were not expecting the huge traffic, and things went wrong. And that's where, after 4 years, Flipkart announced their strategic partnership with Microsoft. Now, why Flipkart announced their strategic tie-up with Microsoft after this event? Is it some connection between cloud and Microsoft? Yes, it is. So in order to look at that connection, or in order to deeply understand that connection, let me let me in order to let me explain you the concept of cloud in a much more simpler manner. So back in the days, when I say companies had to invest in infrastructure, when I say infrastructure is RAM, CPU, their storage, the companies has to invest a lot of amount, right? And any new businessman who don't have that much of money and not willing to pay, not willing to invest that much of amount, there was a problem where the companies like Amazon had idle infrastructure sitting in their data centers, because the infrastructure or the data centers were created with the future scope, and there were businessmen who were waiting for funds that they can buy some infrastructure. So Amazon when they were restructuring their internal infrastructure, one of the VP found that there is a lot of idle infrastructure sitting, and that's where they picked up the problem. And the solution was the simplest enough, that as we in real estate, we take home, we rental we I mean we rent our homes, right? So can we rent our infrastructure? So that was the problem statement. And when Amazon solved this problem, many of new age entrepreneurs started renting infrastructure when they want to just prove that their business is viable and they can grow, and they don't have to invest a lot of amount in infrastructure. So as soon as this problem was solved, Google came in with some advanced Google App Engine. So Amazon was just renting out the infrastructure, CPUs, storage disk, and other infrastructure resources. Google came in with just a little bit up standard. So what we can say is AWS was giving, you know, unfurnished homes, and Google provided them in furnished homes. Like you come in on Google Cloud Platform, code, and we will take care of your making it to the internet. So similarly, then 2010, Microsoft came in, 2011, IBM, and 2012, Oracle. So once the problem was solved, every big company which who were already managing their infrastructure started thinking that why should we don't make money when we have already built the infrastructure? We could also rent our infrastructure. So basically, when we say cloud, with respect to companies, that means the companies are bigger companies are trying to outsource their management of they don't want to manage a whole data center, because as I mentioned, managing data center could incur a lot of cost, and even if you don't need it, you have to manage it. So that's why bigger companies are trying to reduce that cost, and this is an opportunity for all of these uh, companies. And when we look at the 2020, 2022, right now we have all of these cloud providers, some big, some small, some are open source, some are proprietary. But the thing is, now that you have access to infrastructure, on-demand infrastructure, that you don't have to invest a lot of money just to connect to internet and make your business online. That was the boost for startups, because now previously, if I had to start a business, I had to think about how I will manage my servers, or how I will handle the load. How if my business took off within a night, over the night, and if my traffic increased, how I will arrange the extra servers over the night, right? So that was the biggest problem. So since the cloud has solved the upfront cost for the infrastructure, that was the one boost point for the startups. Second was the ecosystem of app development. There are many companies who are just app companies, and this could be a benefit which we called, this one was infrastructure as a service, this is called as platform as a service. And when we start a company, we need to have processes, and in order to execute those processes, we need applications. And since companies like Salesforce, companies like other project management software tools already available, and we can just use them, this has significantly lowered the efforts to build these all of the tools in-house. And this is the reason why mostly there is a boost around startup ecosystem, and many startups are getting funding like nothing. I mean, like not. I mean, like nowhere in the time before. So now, if you look at the startups are also using cloud. If you look at the bigger companies, they are also migrating to cloud. So any company in today's world, I mean, in today's market, any company who wanted to be in internet business needs to have cloud in their operations, and that's where the opportunity is for you. Because when companies are moving to a clouds, they need cloud engineers, because companies, the traditional resources they had were working a different manner. They were you working with routers. It's something kind of a network resource which actually creates the network, but that is taken care by the providers, cloud providers, or Google, Amazon companies. Now just you need to know different things that cloud engineers can only know, and that's the reason there is a bigger trend, that bigger opportunity for cloud jobs. You don't trust me? Just look at the news headlines that are making it mint in the economics times. Right? This too, the media is expecting year on year growth of minimum 26% in the cloud jobs. So I think this will be enough to enough to make you aware that cloud is really a demanding career as of now. And since now you're already convinced that the cloud is going to be a big thing in the coming years, so let me tell you what are the career paths that you can choose in order to get into the industry, cloud industry, because this is the main uh, topic and main essence that a lot of you might have a lot of questions around the career paths. So the very first, which is a kind of entry level job or entry level designation, is a cloud developer. So when you say a cloud developer, the cloud developer is responsible for implementing logic and uh, the cloud. There is a small amount of coding involved just to connect to those cloud services and make the services available. So cloud developer is a kind of a fundamental prerequisite for all of the specializations that which we look at. So when we say cloud developer's role is to look at the problems, think about the problems. Even if you don't able to solve, it's not a big deal. You will be guided to implement the solution in the coding languages which you are familiar with. But when you think of specializations, if you like, and no, I don't want to be in coding for a long time, so then there are specializations available. So very first specialization is DevOps engineers. So DevOps, this word is originated from developer and the operations. So development and the operations. So when you have experience of the development, you will you will complete your specializations in operations with the experience of development. So day-to-day job of the DevOps engineer is to create who the DevOps engineer is someone who has interest in networking and the cybersecurity. The reason, because when we say operations and a company who is operating on cloud, that is like cloud operations for their day-to-day development processes. And companies are willing to pay uh, companies are willing to pay specialized DevOps engineers much more salary than the normal cloud developers. The reason being, obviously, it's specialized, but this specialization requires some experience. So we'll look at the what the 5 years down the line looks like, 10 years down the line looks like for all of this specialization and fundamental roles. But let's move on to the second specialization, which is kindly in demand right now, which is cloud data engineer. So cloud data engineer means someone who is capable of processing data and who is interested in carrying out statistics or analysis on that data. Why we need cloud data engineer is because, as you know, that internet is growing and users are also growing day by day. So everyone is, whether it's you are visiting any hotel where you are, or whether you are using any application, or you are making any transaction, all of been recorded somewhere, and thanks to cloud. So, and companies have access to all of that data with your consent. So companies are trying to monetize in a better way the same data, and also enhance their offerings with the targeted marketing. And in order to happen that, I mean, in order to make that possible, we need to process that data. Process means data could be in any form. It could be images, it could be a video, it could be a text. There will be multiple formats, right? And a cloud data engineer is responsible for streamlining all of the data and making it available to make analysis on that. And next specialization is on the top of it, which is cloud ML engineer. And cloud ML engineer is obviously, as you have heard the hype. I mean, there is a hype around ML. Still, there are not many companies who have ML jobs yet, because in order to have an ML job, companies need to have access to a lot of data. And ML means machine learning, and machine learning means if you have a data and you pass data to machine saying this is the data, learn it, and whenever a new problem comes to it, use that data to solve the problem. But in order to implement that ML or machine learning, you need a lot of data, which is not many companies right now have access to it. So that's why this specialization is in decreasing order right now. Number of is in the number of jobs right now, because the main advantage or the main demand is of DevOps engineer right now. But obviously, this will be experienced DevOps engineer. So for you, your more focus will be on this cloud developer role, so that you get into the cloud industry. So now coming to the future of each job role. So let's say you decided to stay with the current role and not go for any specialization. So if you stay in the 5+ years in the same designation or same domain, 5 years down the line you could be a cloud architect. Again, the what I'm saying, whatever I'm giving you after the 5 years, it's not like a line in the stone, because um, it's a big time. 5 years is a big time. And normally engineers realize a lot of things in 5 years and they frequently change their paths. But if you stay with the current path, you could be a cloud architect. But there are more possibilities, like if you can go for MBA, you can go for MS. But just in case you stayed there, you could be a cloud architect. And if you stayed for 10+ years, you could be a principal architect or a lead architect. So architects mean nothing but who knows how to do the things in an effective manner. When you when you think of doing a specialization, you are eligible for that after 1+ years of experience. So if you stay in the DevOps career, you will be a senior security engineer, which is more prestigious role, because most of the companies, their first priority will be security. And in this internet world, it's like an must to have skill, even for normal cloud engineers as well. And 10 years down the line, you could be a lead security expert or vice president of security for some small company. And even if you start looking for some CXO role, like chief information officer, this is kind of a prerequisite for any CIO. For a data engineer, if you are 5+ years experience, then you could be a senior data engineer. One thing I would like to mention here is this path is this path will not restrict you to some company like service company or product company. You are working in service company, that experience is still considered for product as well, because the work will be same. You will be processing data in both type of companies itself. And 10+years, yes, you will be a data architect. And looking at the current trend, it's not it's not it's not, I mean, I'm not just saying, but it could happen that companies could have a separate CXO role, Chief Data Officer, just for data purpose of their organization. Because looking at the history, this is what happened. Previously, there was CTO, then CTO was separated from CIO. Now it's a CIO. So this could happen, and you could be a CDO of small companies. And if you have research in mathematics and if you are interested in mathematics and research work, then ML engineer path could be good for you. But honestly, right now there are less jobs for ML because, as I mentioned, not every company has access to data that they can utilize to create their ML models or ML workloads. But yeah, the companies or the cloud providers like Google, they have access to a lot of data, and they are using that data to provide services to smaller companies, right? So you can consider this, but this will be a and looking at it from job perspective, uh, this will be a good role after 5 years. Now that you know or what are the career paths available to you as a cloud, let me let's see how to get started so that you can be a cloud developer, right? So what are the things that you need to do in order to be a cloud developer? So the very first, as we saw that there are more than 10 cloud providers in the market, how would you know which cloud provider to go for, or the company which is providing infrastructure on rent? Which company should you go for? Because if you have knowledge about that cloud provider, then the companies will know that yes, this person or this employee or this candidate has the knowledge about this, let's say AWS or Azure or GCP. And if companies are using any of this cloud provider, there are good chances that they will hire you. So choosing a cloud provider is important thing. Second is hands-on with cloud services. So when we say hands-on, it's similar to the practicals. So basically, you actually use the cloud services of the cloud provider. How you will do that? We'll cover that in the coming slides. So stay tuned. And third thing, which is very important, is getting certified. So any company or any employer who wanted to hire you, they need to build a trust with you. You know, when you say you have knowledge about all of the whatever you are justifying in the resume, you need to show them the solid proof, and the certification provided by that cloud provider will build a strong trust between both the parties. And that's why the getting certified is the important thing in all of your getting started your cloud career. So now that you know what are the steps that you need to follow uh, in order to get your cloud journey, begin your cloud journey, let me help you with deciding on which cloud provider should I choose, or you should go for. So this is the latest data, October, December quarter. Quarter means the 3 months of statistics. And if you look at the current market, the AWS captured the more because, as I showed you earlier in the slides, the AWS was the first mover. And with the first mover advantage, AWS managed to capture 32% of the market. Then Microsoft Azure came in 2000 around I think 11, but still the reason for the higher market capture is Microsoft was already having corporates from Windows operating system, because any company who is using Windows, they need to have a licensed copy of Windows, and that's where they started upselling their cloud platform. And with Google Cloud started in 2008, yeah, and they were managed to get the 8% of the market share. And the upcoming 5 years is the good thing for Google Cloud because Google has access to a lot of data. And in coming 5 years, the ML will be the main hype or the main working, working jobs or the day-to-day jobs for many of the companies. They will trust Google's models more than other both of these companies. But as a starter, it doesn't matter which cloud provider you choose. As long as you know the fundamentals of cloud, it's good. Any company at a starting position will look for just a fundamental knowledge and a certification that you know this cloud very well. And if you ask me, this is not any opinion against any company, but just to make you give an idea, you can choose any of these two, because AWS was first mover. There was a saturation of AWS cloud engineers because everyone started doing certification with AWS, and right now kind of a saturation in AWS, but it's not like there will be no opportunities of AWS. But I would say go with Google Cloud, because Google Cloud or Microsoft Azure, because these are the more they are trying to grow their market share, and that's where they will introduce more jobs and more training for market increasing their market share. So now that you know what are the major cloud providers, okay, and the main thing was about certification. So AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner is the fundamental entry level certificate. There are much more advanced certificate. When you go for specializations, you will be doing that certification exams. But just to get started and get into the cloud developer journey, you can, if you are deciding to go with AWS, go for this AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner. And when you go to this page, you will get all of the content that this certification exam will have, and you can practice or you can learn the cloud skills from the AWS learning resources. That is, I think, on this website, AWS Amazon.com training. And you will find the resources any categorized manner. If you're starting, you can go with the cloud practitioner. So every cloud company has their own resource of learning. Similarly, for Azure, the main fundamental entry level certification, which is Microsoft Azure Fundamentals, AZ 900. And if you look for this page, you will find the content that will be asked in the exam, and you can prepare those topics from the Azure learning resources. So you can choose what to learn here, and once you are pretty sure that you can you have enough knowledge and enough hands-on, you can opt for the Azure certification. Similarly, for Google, the fundamental certification is Associate Cloud Engineer. And if you look at these quick links, Google also provide the exam guide. Exam guide means there will be a topic similar to a syllabus that you need to cover in order to complete this certification. They have the training, sample questions will be there, and just to add on, they will provide you $300 as a credit for 3 months, so that you can utilize their cloud platform. They call it a console here, so you can utilize their cloud platform for 3 months, but that will require you to have a credit card. So many, I mean, I think since you are starting your cloud journey, many of you might not have a credit card, and if you use, and some students might not have credit card from their families as well. So we'll cover how we can solve this problem in upcoming slides. So no worries. And the next thing is this is the GCP learning resource, because when I say GCP also provides the cloud certification, you will get an access to 1 month of training that you can renew again and uh, carry out your training. So now that you know how to get into industry, what are the jobs available, and how to start your journey. So let's let's see it when you're certified, how to get into industry, right? So the very first thing as a starter, easiest way to get into industry is internship. So there are many startups. I think the internship roles are more of a more, you will find more internships in startup than the MNCs. So you can look for the internships, apply for the internships, and look for whether companies will look at whether you can the intern can be converted into a full-time employee there. If not internship, and if you are someone who is already experienced but trying to switch to a cloud platform or cloud track, you can apply for junior cloud engineer roles, given that you have completed one fundamental certification. So because junior cloud engineer roles does not require any high level in knowledge, they just require a fundamental knowledge of cloud. And if you are certified, yeah, companies are good. And in market there right now, it's good condition for you as well, that market is growing at, it's mad, it's growing at very fast pace. Companies are even not looking at your gap. If you have gap, it doesn't matter. If you have skills, that's it. So you are lucky that you are graduating or you are trying to switch your career at this point. And the third is obviously the campus placement, as you all know, because if you have a certification completed it for any cloud provider, you are already placed, given the conditions that you met the placement criteria set up by your college. Uh, now, what to expect when you go for the salary, when you go for the cloud jobs? So, as a starter, you can expect anything from 3.2 lakhs to 9 lakhs. Why this very broad range? Because there are multiple factors that affect your salary as a starter, as a fresher. So, very first is college. So, when I say college, I'm not judging anyone based on their tier 1, tier 2, or tier 3 college. So, what we are looking for is if your college is capable of giving you skills that are required in the industry. So if you are able to justify that you have the skills, then college does not matter. And that's why I'm telling you that complete your certification. Then if you're tier 3, it does not matter. The second one is the personal projects on the GitHub. So when you have personal projects, be it any to-do app, be it any small project that you do apart from your curriculums, so that demonstrates that you have some extra skills, and you have that experience how to work in projects, what are the problems you might face in a project. So companies look for that kind of attitude as well, and that could be a added advantage that you can negotiate your starting salary based on this. And the very important third point is internship. So if you have 2 3 internship or minimum 6 months of internship in your resume, that's like an 1 year of experience. Because when you are working as an intern, you are doing more than a normal full-time engineer would do in their day-to-day job. So this is the strong point. And you could when you have an internship, employers or companies think that the student or the candidate already has an exposure to industry, so they don't have to spoon feed the things. That will save a lot of cost for them, and that cost can be utilized to raise your starting salary. But as we saw the 5+ years of career path as well, from my experience, I'll tell you the 5+ years experience salary as well. So you could expect fixed salary or base salary, anything this in between this. Now, again, this is not a fix, because in 5 years, things could change drastically for some people. Like some people go for MS and work in US, then this will be a not applicable. Some people go for CAT and pass out from IIM and all the management studies. Again, so this is will be just, if consider you are continuing your same job, and after 5 years, you could be in this bracket. And there are factors affecting to that is how critical projects you are working on. Company think if the project is critical, company is making good money, obviously you will be giving good money. Next one is negotiation skills. So right now what happening is, since there is a huge demand in IT jobs right now, people are switching their jobs like a mad, just for a raise. But there are companies who are willing to match their offers with the current in their same company as well. So if you think like you want a raise, and you don't want to switch company just for the money, you can negotiate your salary with your current employer. Sorry. The last thing is skills in demand. After 5 years, who knows what will be in demand? Right now, cloud is in demand, but down the line, I can tell you the cloud is again. There are multiple various versions of the cloud. Why? Because if companies are storing all of their data in Microsoft's infrastructure or Google's infrastructure, as you can see, there are a lot of data trust issues coming in, and that's why there is a new upgraded version of cloud which is called as edge cloud. It's a hybrid. Some data will companies store on their side, and some data will be stored in Google or whatever the cloud provider is. So there will be evolution to the main model, and but cloud will stay there because that's the main. It solved the main huge problem. So cloud will be there, but there will be evolution of the cloud computing concept. And if you are up to date with that concept, you can again negotiate your salaries with the current employer or the new employer, whoever it's. So now that you have, we have almost covered what are the what are the career paths, how to get into industry, what to expect as a salary. All of this is dependent on the certification. If you are able to crack the certification, then it's an easy for you. So when I started my certification, I was, certifications are nothing like normal exams that Google, Amazon, Microsoft, or other cloud providers uh, take. I mean, they ask you to take in order to understand that you have really gone through the resources they have planned. Okay, so the reason why I'm telling is because when I started my certification, there was no resource available so that I can relate it for my certification exams. Normally, if you are appearing for college exams, you would have practice test, CET, IIT, all of this has been, business, like they have already know how to crack this. But when it comes to certifications, normally who cracks its certification, they just look for their day-to-day job, and they don't care about, you know, making a good community. But since India is growing and global players are looking at India as a global IT hub or the global talent, because things are changing. Down before 10 years, India was, people used to look at India as for the service industry of IT, but things are changing. Right now, bigger giants are looking at India as a talent pool of talent, and we wanted to increase and contribute that to increase the pool of talent and make the opportunities available to as many people as we can. And that's what we that's when we encountered the problem of not having references to in order to successfully crack the certification exams in the first attempt, because certification exams are costly. They start from 15,000, and if you fail it first time, you will be losing that for 50,000, 15,000, right? So that's why we you know the Harit and Varun started the Quick Skills platform, and we provide curated practice tests developed by certified professionals, and we provide hands-on labs as well. So when we say hands-on labs, remember I mentioned you that in order to use the cloud platform, you need to have a cloud credit card, but a lot of students or a lot of starting professionals do not have it. So how will they practice their hands-on? So we started giving the platform with our credit card, and we will be paying the bills, and you will have access to on-demand platform. Just one click and you are ready to go. But in order to explain much more what the Quick Skills in depth, I would like to invite Mr. Harit. Harit has 15 years of experience, 15 or more. He has worked with many prestigious companies like Samsung and uh, bigger giants, and he is one of the co-founder of Quick Skills. So I would like to invite Harit. Over to you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Venkatesh. I mean, this presentation has been really pretty good. I hope our audience, they are also learning new things, and because you have explained and articulated this subject, this roadmap to career of cloud computing in a very well and very structured way. So I assume that most of our audience are college students, or just passed out, or the beginners who are looking to switch to the cloud computing career. So I think this session is quite beneficial and useful for them. So yeah, so the idea of this webinar was to give you the to explain you like how you can get into the cloud career, how can you start your cloud career. And coming back to the quick skills, like quick skills, as the name suggests, it's a kind of very catchy name. So the quick skills is a smart practice platform to learn hands-on cloud skills and to get certified in cloud computing. We help users and professionals to get the real cloud skills. I mean, suppose, I mean, somebody wants to learn the guitar, and I mean, if somebody, a teacher tells, or someone says like, go to YouTube and watch the videos, or some say like, do this, do that. People or anybody who is willing to or want to learn, won't, they will not be able to learn until unless you pick up the guitar, you play, you strike here and there, you do something like that, then only you will learn. Like same thing goes with the cycling. Until unless you start riding, you will fall, you will have injuries, then only you will learn. So everybody talks about cloud is really a buzzword. I mean, it's becoming everybody's part of life. I mean, the way we are using our mobile phones, or our laptop for our work, or for our education, or in entertainment purpose, we directly indirectly using cloud computing. I mean, whether it's Instagram, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Facebook, it's TikTok, I mean, whatever application you use, Paytm, everything, they all are running on cloud, most of applications. So so quick skills actually helps professionals to get certified in cloud computing with by providing the curated, that means like those practice tests created by the certified professionals. When I say certified, because there are n number of certifications, and the only the person who is certified in a certain certification, only those specialists will create those practice tests which are related to that certification. So we offer practice test and the hands-on skills, so kind of like theoretical thing and the practical thing. So the hands-on lab is really a gem. Like, because suppose individually, if you want to learn the cloud, you need to create an account on Google Cloud or Amazon or Azure, and then you need to provide the credit card. But here you don't need to do anything of that. You just need to create one quick skills account, and then there will be a UI button, and then you can just you can just have any of our plan, and then you can just start right away. You can start. That means you will be going inside to that Google, sorry, cloud console, and the learning certain tools, services, or learning paths. So this is where we are helping professionals to to get hands-on cloud skills and to grow in their career and get certified. So this is a brief about quick skills. And I mean, just before we go to the Q&A session, I would like to just share that for all webinar participants, we will be giving a special discount of 25%. You can use that coupon code webinar, and you will be getting a 25% off. So now I am opening up this Q&A session. So, and request everybody to ask as many as questions that can be beneficial for all of us. Yeah, so please go ahead and ask questions. I mean, you can ask anything about cloud computing, cloud career, cloud jobs, salaries, or which path you want to choose, how to prepare, how to learn, how to get certified, anything you can ask.
Yeah, I think there is one pinged in chat, Raja.
Okay. Yeah. Uh,
What's the job role of AWS solution architect? Yes. Thank you, Anubhav. Thank you for asking the question. So we'll take one-on-one. I mean, one question at a time. So first of all, the job role of an AWS solution architect. So if let me go back to the slide where we were discussing the career paths. So when we
just a minute. If you want to ask the question, you can also raise the hand.
yes, you can raise the hand. You can ask it in Q&A section as well.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, Arvo, so when I say that you could be, after 5 years, you could be a cloud architect. So basically, AWS solutions architect is the same as cloud architect. So what it does is it helps client or customers or anyone, be it team, that if you have a problem, how can you use that problem? I mean, how can you solve that problem using the cloud? So not only cloud is not just about the RAM, CPU, and this thing. There are many services like database. There are you host your website, but website name and the IP address that needs to be connected using DNS service. So if you want to, there is a cloud DNS service. There are n number of services in the AWS. Right now, if you look at, there are more than 100 services in the AWS, right? So which service you will use in order to effectively solve your problem? And if you're solving that problem on Amazon or AWS cloud, then AWS solution architect is responsible for giving you an answer to which service and in what manner you will use in order to solve that problem. So that's the job role of AWS solution architect, main job. And similarly, for Google, you will have Google professional cloud architect. For Azure, you will have solution architect. Same. So the next question is, I think, please share the. Does that answer your question, Argo? Okay, yeah, sure. Thank you. So the next question is, share the link.
There are a stream of questions, and it's really good thing. I think there are many questions, so we will definitely take all questions. Every question will be answered. So yeah, Venkatesh, please take the next one.
So related Kubernetes to Docker. So yes, Chinmay, what exactly would you want to know about Kubernetes and Docker? So basically, okay. So basically, in order to answer your question, Kubernetes and Docker. So Kubernetes and Docker are specific technologies that normally comes under this path, DevOps engineer cloud. But in order to know why Kubernetes and Docker and what problem they solve is basically, if you are developing something, you are developing it on different environments. You are might using Windows laptop, someone might using Linux laptop, someone is using Mac laptop. So in order to uniform that environment, the Docker was invented just to uniform, just to make everyone on the same platform. Docker was involved, and the evolution of Docker containers lead to a complex problem, and that complex problem is then solved by Kubernetes, which is kind of a bigger vast term. In order to cover here, Kubernetes is because if you have containers, because I'm assuming that you asked this question, so you have you have knowledge about containers. So when you are working on containers, there will be multiple containers, and how you will streamline or how you will manage those containers. So Kubernetes is responsible for managing those containers effectively. So yeah, let me know if that answers your question, Chinmay. So next is, what is the fees of AZ 900 certification? You can look at that on the certification page itself, but normally I would say it will start around 15,000, I guess. Yeah, 15,000 or 10,000, something like that. But
Yeah, I
not
think it's $100 for AZ 900.
okay.
Yeah,
So it
something like that. So
10,000.
yeah, it keeps changing, but so, yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah, it keeps changes.
yeah, and yeah, I think someone has asked, like, it's kind of a generic question. If you would like to answer, is the future in cloud computing is safe? So Navneet Gitkar has asked. I think I'm not sure what does, I mean, are you talking about the career choice, or you are talking about the industry as a whole? So probably I think Venkatesh can answer in both ways.
Yes, sure. So, as in safe, if you are looking at the demanding career, yes, it is because since the cloud was the inception of cloud infrastructure as a service was in 2006, and we are now in 2021, right? So, and still it's a demanding career because it's starting getting pays right now. But as you mentioned, the cloud, if you choose cloud as a career, over the time, when you complete 5+ years in your cloud career, you will definitely opt for some of the specializations, one of this. And specializations are nothing but the current trend in that, whenever in that time. So why cloud will not die? Because what cloud solved the main problem, that was infrastructure on service, right? So infrastructure on demand, so that companies don't have to manage their data center, and it solved millions of dollars for the companies. So cloud will be there. Just the thing will there will be, as I mentioned, there will be evolution of the cloud. So you need to be updated with the current evolution in the cloud. So as I mentioned, previously it was only centralized cloud, but now it's a distributed cloud. So companies are willing to take some control back and giving some control to cloud providers. Tomorrow, it can happen that all of the cloud will be totally distributed, and companies will have someone, I don't know what will happen, but there could be an evolution with solution to the problems that current industry has. But yeah, it will be a safe choice because you will enter the cloud career right now. If I believe that you are starting your career with cloud right now, and if you enter right now, down the line, let's for 6 years, uh, there will be no change in the current market jobs, and there will be a still demand in the cloud.
Yeah. So there is an interesting question, Venkatesh, that Anubha is asking, sir, what is the job role of an AWS solution architect? So I think since the solution architect is kind of, they do more or less similar job across the cloud platforms like Google Cloud or Azure. So if you would like to explain it, AWS solution architect, what is the job role?
Sure, sure. So I answered this question was
Okay.
asked by Anubhav as well.
Okay.
So I'll repeat the same. So in AWS Solution Architect, so when you look at the name itself, so AWS means Amazon Web Services, Solutions and Architect. So basically, someone who is using the AWS cloud
Mhm.
and they want to solve some problem. So let's say someone is working on working on a web service, or not a web service, basically simple language. Let's say someone is trying to create Netflix itself. Okay, for India, Netflix for India. So they need to design an architecture that they will use on Amazon Web Services or the Amazon's cloud, so that they can effectively deliver content to users, right? Because in the end, the content will be stored on cloud, and that needs to be delivered to the mobile phones or different devices, right? So how, which there will be 100 services, no, and the job of solutions architect is to identify which service is responsible for uh, doing this, which service can communicate with which service effectively in order to implement this solution. So when we say AWS solution architect, in simple manner, I will tell you that it is an overlap of system design with plus cloud services.
Okay. So I think Abin Matthew is asking very interesting question. I think, is it necessary to know networking concepts? Actually, I am from electrical background.
Uh, so to answer your question, yes, you do need to have some networking knowledge, but if you don't have, that's fine. When you start learning using those resources, the cloud providers assume that you don't have anything, any prerequisite. They assume that you don't have knowledge, extensive knowledge about networking. But there is a prerequisite that you understand what is RAM, you understand what is CPU, you understand what is storage. So if you, even if you understand all these three terms, that's enough to get started. And eventually, when you complete your training, you will be, you will have much more knowledge about whatever the required knowledge is, whatever is required, you will have, you have mastered that.
Okay, so there is a question from anonymous that, sir, I am weak in mathematics. Can I do it?
Mathematics has nothing to do with the cloud. Honestly speaking, if you are not going for ML or data roles, and if you want to start with the cloud journey itself, when I said cloud journey, and if you are looking for this cloud developer role,
Mhm.
mathematics does not play a role, any role here. Logic means a basic fundamental logic, that if I give you a problem that, like, I want to go from here to here, and how I will go, and you have options like bike, car, and a bus, which one will choose? So there is some logic involved based on certain factors. So that kind of basic logic is required in cloud developer roles. And if you don't know mathematics, it's fine. If you know some little bit of computer networking, that's good.
Okay. So yeah, I think just to add to Abin Matthew's question that, I mean, he's asking about, like, he does not know. I mean, he might not be knowing networking concept. So it's not very difficult to learn. You can learn it from the platform portals, right? Or you can, there are really good, good learning stuff available on YouTube or some other good websites. So you can learn, I think that's not a big deal.
To be honest, let me tell you, when I graduated from tier 3 college, and I also don't have any networking knowledge, because back then computer networking was kind of a theoretical question for me.
Mm,
The only networking I knew was how to connect my laptop to the LAN cable. Okay,
right, right,
so
right.
it's not necessary that you know hardcore networking, right? Just dive in, just start learning cloud, and people, or the Google Cloud is looking to train 4 million people, and
Yeah.
there are no 4 million computer engineers out there, right? So they will train all of the engineers, whether it's from civil, whether it's from mechanical, whether he is from electrical, doesn't matter. They will streamline the content in a way that any engineer could understand.
Yeah, I mean, 25 million will be trained by AWS, Amazon,
Yeah.
and 40 million will be trained by Google Cloud
Oh,
for
sorry. What do you mean? Yeah.
Google for cloud skills. So I mean, you just can imagine if these big companies, they are putting their efforts for futuristic demand. I mean, you can just understand, like, the cloud future is going to be really good. I mean, it's not.
Yeah, and I think this will answer the question that is cloud is a safe choice or secure,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. It is. It is. The shortest answer is, like, it is, definitely it is. So, and another question, a futuristic question coming from Kunal, seeing that, what if AI solving cloud problem itself?
So let me tell you, AI is uh, I think it's good that you raised this question. So when we say AI works on machine learning, because whatever there is in intelligence, that is based on the previous decisions taken by someone else, or the previous data that we feed into the AI, right?
Mm.
And I also work on one ML project, which we train the models for the company, research company, which is uh, creating an AI model that can identify whether this virus is coronavirus or is a flu virus, right? So when we say AI is replacing cloud work, it's not related, because when you say, if I say you need to train a model. Model means, if you are asking, model means a decision algorithm that can provide you the outputs based on the inputs. And in order to train that, you need a huge amount of infrastructure, right? And that infrastructure is provided by cloud itself. So basically, all the ML companies are moving to cloud, because they cannot afford, every time a model requires a new GPU or TPU or something, like, they cannot buy a new again, right? So that's why Google is providing TPU, GPUs on cloud. And that's why I wouldn't say that AI will take the cloud roles. No, definitely no. Other mundane tasks can be automated.
Okay, so there is a question from Uma that what are your fee structures? So we have a two subscription plan, Uma. One is the monthly and another one is the annual. So you can check it out on our website. There's and if you apply this coupon webinar, you will get the discount. So you check out, like you can start off with the monthly subscription plan and you will get access to all certification practice tests and the hands-on cloud labs. The hands-on cloud labs are currently in beta, but this month you will be having a plenty of labs, I mean, for all three major vendors, for Azure, for Google, and for AWS. So many more cloud hands-on cloud labs are going to be live this month only. So you can check it out, this free fee structure.
Sure. Yeah, I think there is one more question from Avin Matthew.
Yeah.
The Red Hat plus Red Hat, right? Is it Red Hat? I guess. So Red Hat plus AWS will be boost your profile because most of the VMs working on Linux. Yeah, it's definitely this will boost your profile, and VM is one of the service. And when you complete the certification, there will be you will come to know many more services like VM and other Kubernetes serve or what all the Lambda. You will know all of the services. VM is one of them, definitely.
Okay, so I think any more questions you can ask. I think people, we have answered all the questions which came.
Yeah, I think Q&A is good. Yeah.
Yes. So okay. So yeah, please ask your questions if you have any. Okay, so Venkatesh, I many times, like, I mean, in the normal conversation, when people might not be knowing much about cloud, many people talk about, like, okay, I want to get into the cloud career, or I want to start cloud computing. So should I start with cloud admin job profile? Because many people assume that that's a beginner, the introductory job profile in cloud computing. So, I mean, what would you like to suggest to those people who think like, okay, I will start with the a cloud admin job or something?
Sure. So basically, when you say cloud admin, it could be two things. One is cloud admin means handling all of the cloud infrastructure. So definitely that requires extensive knowledge. So definitely not that kind of profile. One is cloud admin means you will be managing users coming and going out of the cloud platform.
Okay.
So when you're managing your users, let's say our domain is quickskill.com, and there are employees joining in the company, and we need to manage their day-to-day operations using email and all those things. This cloud admin part comes under security, and I would say even if you are starting with the cloud admin, so there are very less companies who will offer cloud admin role to a new starter, because that will be a kind of even it is a less work, but it will be a responsible work, because again, when you say admin, it's kind of a more privileges with the any of the part, right?
True. True. And one more thing, like, I mean, in colleges, some people, even though I assume that people are really familiar with the coding and programming, but sometimes people say that I might not be having much interest in programming or coding. So if I don't know much coding, I mean, they know basic coding or primary things, but if they are not get deep into the coding, what would you suggest to if they still want to get into the cloud?
Sure. So, uh, so as I mentioned, so cloud is basically infrastructure on demand, right? And when we say infrastructure on demand, so coding is the second skill. First skill is you would know which service to use when there is a problem. So I've been mentioned that Red Hat service and AWS. So it was a kind of a problem there where we will be using a computer on cloud. Okay. So in order to use that service, you don't need a programming skills. Okay.
Okay.
But whatever the required there are minimum programming skills required, and you can pick any programming, Python or anything. And even if you know only the functional working, because this role, it's not just only cloud, it comes with a cloud engineer. So when you say engineer, the cloud providers also expect some working knowledge. And you can learn along with the when you are completing your training, you can learn basic fundamental programming that is required for that work. But I would suggest, it's not like that you need extensive programming. It's not like that. It's only a functional programming that is required.
Okay, fine. So I think no more questions are coming.
One, I think Abhin has raised hand again. Yeah. Yes, Abhin. Okay. No more questions, or
No more questions. I mean, if you have any question, you can ask. Otherwise, then
yeah.
we'll wrap it up. Okay. So yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for coming to this webinar and giving your precious time. I hope that you would have learned something. You will be taking something out of here that can be beneficial to grow in career and to get into the cloud computing. So okay, somebody has.
Recording available. Yes, it will be available on YouTube. Yeah, yes.
Yeah. This we will share the link of this webinar session, so you can watch it on demand. So thank you very much again for coming to this webinar, and we will continue to have this such kind of webinar which are related to technology, cloud computing, career, and to learn skills, so that I mean the professionals can continue to benefit for.
Sure.
So thank you, Venkatesh, and
Yeah.
thank you everyone. Have
Thank
a
you.
good day.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Be safe. Stay.
Bye. Be safe.